All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back again. No, we did not quit, loud or quietly. We are here and live, Ready Set Data. We have our software engineer, O'Grady.
Hello.
That's a little wave there. We have our database administrator, Lee Markham. And on the data engineering side, Anthony Fortner. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, it's been a good week. Got a lot done at work. Got a lot done at home. Posted the bar pics in Discord if if anybody hasn't seen it. Took a lot of long nights. Like I was saying, hopefully a lot of long nights spent building it, so I can have a lot of long nights using it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad
with the baby coming up, that's going to be where I'm sitting. I'm sure half of the night. Just
you and the baby.
Yeah. I'm gonna put my rocker over there and be like,
there'll be two bottles involved either way.
Yes. So, what do you guys? Anyways, how's everything been going with you guys?
It's going good for me. Everything seems to be moving along. Also gearing up for an incoming extra family member. So,
congratulations.
Thank you.
Didn't want to say congrats when we knew last week.
we are here we grow again. That's a good thing. Hey, what's up,
do you mind sharing what number this is?
Oh, this will be number 11.
11.
Yeah.
So you're officially a baker's dozen.
Yeah. No, I thought baker's dozen was 13.
You will be. Yeah. So plus you two.
Oh, yeah.
So you're a baker's dozen.
We've been playing a lot of baseball lately, and so it's basically realized we need some more help on the outfield.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you always have to have like a pitcher that's in warm up in the bullpen, ready to go. So you got. And then at this point, the oldest can be the manager, so you're getting set.
Yeah.
That's when you turn into like the batting coach. I do know baseball.
Times.
That's the only sports I know.
Well, see, I've always made that joke about St. Louis. Like, even in St. Louis, the nerds know baseball.
Yeah.
Right? Like, anywhere else, he was like, oh, sports ball. In St. Louis, we're like, oh, sports ball. Hey, you hear about the Cards? I'm sorry, sports ball.
Yeah, that's the only sport that I pay attention to. And that's like, it's a requirement to live here, so,
Yeah, and it's not actually a requirement. It just gets to you after a while,
Yeah. And we have some really cool players on the team that like stick out even among MLB, like Yachty. He's like his own character of the MLB show, and it's hilarious. So yeah. I hope chat's doing good. Everybody had a good week as well. Get to the end of it here. Ready for the weekend. Any big plans this weekend?
Not to repeat myself, but I'm hoping to get a baseball game in this weekend.
Yep.
The school started this week. I guess that's big news. Everyone's busy, all day, all night long. It's crazy. You can imagine how many people trying to get stuff done. So, like I was saying, we were trying to get a lot of baseball in, but we just can't during the weekdays now. So a couple of the kids are jonesing. So we're hoping this weekend we get over to the park nearby and get a game going. We'll see.
Nice. That is kind of cool. You can like just bring your family over to start a game of baseball. Like
that is 100% what we do.
That's awesome.
We just walk to the park, find a spot, and then we don't have very good coverage in the outfield, but we split into two, and things happen. And half of them are really into it. The other half are just like, "Oh, we're playing a game, cool." But I got about half the crew are like,
like serious.
Let's do this. Yeah. I got one of my kids messed up his arm in a collision. He was safe though, so he thinks it's worth it.
But
like now he's got a brace on and everything. He got to go to a doctor. Borderline going to get a cast.
Oh man.
And he's just like, when are we going to play again? So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, like when the medical premiums go down, but it's.
Yeah, when you can use both arms.
Yeah.
No, that's not acceptable. Okay.
No.
Fine. Let's do it.
Let's say I got
that's not me.
Yeah, so I just got a a baby shower this weekend for my 2 new goddaughters being born. Twins by my brother and sister-in-law. So that's what I was getting the bar and everything ready for. And finishing it all. Because usually I'm like, we got some time. I'm fine. I'll do it slower. But this week, my wife was like, are you going to have the bar and everything ready by the baby shower? I'm like, when's that again? She's like, next Sunday. I'm like, yep, now I will. So
yeah.
Nothing like a deadline to motivate you, right?
It's like 2 a.m. She's like, are you going to bed? I'm like, you gave me the deadline, so it's on you at this point.
So that reminds me, let me go up. What do you guys think about this? No one is ever as surprised as a husband hearing his wife's plans for the second time.
Fair.
Yeah.
Somebody make that.
Yeah.
Somebody make that a short. Thank you. Okay.
It should be. Someone clip that. Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. So that's my plans, is to get all my stuff done and ready for the baby shower. So, but I'm not a quitter, so I will get done.
That's right.
Do we want to get in it, or did you want to share something firstly?
No, go ahead. We can get into the topic for tonight.
All right, let's do it then. So, I thought long and hard about how I want to talk about this, and I think mostly I want to complain. So we're gonna go with that.
Fair.
What is quiet quitting? From what I understand, and I want you guys to correct me if I'm misunderstanding before I really start whining. I believe the definition is people who are just doing their job and they're no longer hustling and they are no longer working extra hours, aka anti the grind culture that we see, especially in America.
Yeah.
Is that pretty much it?
That's my understanding of it. Usually coming from a place first of being someone who strives to excel and then backing up. So there's different categories. Like if you're always the person that just got a job and you're doing the minimum, I don't look at that as quiet quitting, because you never stepped up to be stepping down from, like you never did the hustle. So my understanding is once you do the hustle, you show the company that this is my normal output. And then you realize the company isn't, for whatever reason. This is obviously what we're going to talk about. But then you realize me doing this hustle is not worth it. I'm backing down. I'm going to the minimum. And then a lot of times the company realizes, why are you not doing what you used to do? When in reality, you're just doing what everyone else is doing at that point. So, and that's my interpretation on it, was that you have to first do the hustle. Do the hustle. Do.
So where are you, Lee? You parallel what you think the definition is? Is as close to what you think? Just get the definition out of the way.
Also, chat, throw in what you guys think while we're discussing this.
Yes, we want conversation, and I was really hoping that the person that I was talking to who was strenuously, we'll go off strenuous fools in the chat the other night would show up tonight to talk, but nonetheless, I mean that makes some sense. I think that just from the term quiet quitting, it would have to be kind of what O'Grady talked about, where you're already giving, we'll say 110%. You're going above and beyond. You're doing extra work. You're working, weekends. You're checking email at 9 o'clock at night, because nobody here does that.
Definitely didn't just check my phone to see what the deployment status was, but
I was queuing you.
I'm not on call.
I was queuing you, O'Grady, to make a joke about me.
You do that all the time, yes, but that's like a known. I do it because I'm not on call, but I still want to verify that the deployments are going okay. I don't know.
You're working extra. You're doing the hustle.
I'm doing the hustle.
Yeah, so that I can agree with that. We'll leave it at that.
Okay. And who was talking about it today? Was that Dunn said something about it? Who was the I lost it.
Don said some stuff.
Stream
over in
topic.
this. Yeah.
We had Panther was talking about it. That's right. I was like, I knew it was someone that was. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Duns. Panther.
But was very vocal. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. So
how do we want to approach this here?
I mean, I know how I want to approach it.
So 2 middle fingers in the air.
Yeah, pretty much. So my strongest I have a lot of strong feelings about this, and it's not quite actually about the meat of the subject. Honestly, it's about the naming. Like I don't know. Supposedly it was from someone on TikTok, a tickety talker, and I guess they made up the term, which is fine, right?
Yeah.
You know, all terms are made up by a person.
Yeah, so that's how terms get made.
Yeah, that's fine. But they call it quiet quitting, and then I feel like it makes it sound like right off the bat, like it's a bad thing. Like quitting sounds bad. Quitting's like you walk out, you leave.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, you turn in 2 weeks, whatever, which is less bad than just walking out. But like, so right off the bat, my guard's up because
you're like, why are you quitters? Yeah.
Yeah, you're name calling, right? Yeah. So I already have a bad feeling about it, and then I'm reading it, and it's like to echo. I think very similar to what both you gentlemen said. The definition's basically like you've been hustling, you've been grinding, and you're like, it's not for me anymore. And that's a wording I want to use for me. It's like I'm not doing that right now. But the name makes it sound like they're doing something that's bad. Yeah. And like that bugs me because again, name calling. You should be allowed to do your job and leave and not necessarily work after hours. Yes, I know we're in IT, so there's a
not really an option, but yeah.
Well, I mean, there's times you're on call, especially like if you're on the DBA side of things, that's practically a given. Like I know me and Lee's had conversations, and we'll bring up a certain company, and that company has like 0, like the things they brag about is 0 on call. We're like, wow, that's pretty cool. How do they make sure? Well, that's how they make sure they have third party or something. That's really cool. Yeah. It's so normal that we're surprised, and I think developers. I still think it's heavy in the on call.
I think it's
conversations.
I think it's really heavy still.
Yeah. Okay.
But at the same time, I mean, as a developer, I took a job knowing there's an on-call option rotation. So,
but
that was in the description of the job. So if that stops happening, if I stop being on call or working after, that goes against my job description. So fire me. Yeah, that would be a fireable offense in my opinion.
Oh yeah, but the definition was you're still doing your job.
Yeah. So at that point, I would be still on call if you were doing a quiet quitting situation.
Did you want to jump in, Lee? I heard some
groaning.
Yeah.
Change. You did, yeah. Other duties. So you're kind of hitting on something that I said in the chat recently over on Discord. You took a job and agreed to a certain set of parameters, and of course, as we all do. Often, I mean, I have seen the other duties as assigned thing appended to the ends of job descriptions.
Yep.
All throughout my years, which means the company can give you whatever work they feel like they need to in order to accomplish their goals.
Right.
So that means that roles can change and evolve over time.
Yeah.
So
but that wasn't part of our definition. Keep going.
Roles can only progress and change if management has discussed this with you, though. And at that point, you have the opportunity to say, I will accept these new roles and responsibilities with an increase in pay or an extra week of vacation or whatever you want to negotiate.
Maybe.
Dependent, obviously, on the role and the company.
I've been in, the company said, this is yours now.
Yeah, I guess I've seen that. Yep.
And a lot of that, I mean, that is kind of at the heart of the topic, I feel like, about quiet quitting is this idea of, you know, doing extra work or being given extra work by a company.
Don said he's currently
you know,
getting Slack messaging.
and no, yeah, I wasn't quite sure what that means.
Assuming from work. No.
Yeah, I assume he's like,
Gotcha.
for example,
Yeah.
work's hitting me up right now.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's like, he's like, it's whiskey 30. Come on, people.
Right.
Our role, I just feel like our roles generally are not static. You know, sometimes they are, but I think business needs change and grow, and they look around at the people they have and they say, how can we meet the business needs with the people we have?
Now, are they saying that, or are they saying, how do we squeeze the most out of the people we have for the current salary we're paying?
Well, those two questions might be different sides of the same coin, depending on your company.
Yes.
But I think I'm derailing where Anthony wants us to go.
Well, I'm not saying we can't talk about that. I just really want to get a note in where I don't think quiet quitting has anything to do with all this stuff. Like, it sounds like people are, again, they were at a certain level, they were grinding, like all of us do. I say all of us, as in the three of us, because we all know each other. Others in our especially industry do. You hustle, you learn, you pick up new things, you take on projects, you kill it, and it helps your career out. And then you're like, okay, I got to dial this back. That's why it was important to me to get the definition out. None of that really screams at me, you know. Guy walks in the coffee cup. Hey, I think out of nowhere we're gonna work Saturdays, or hey, this new project's yours. Like, I don't feel like that's quiet quitting. Unless, are you saying the fact that you said no, you're suddenly a quiet quitter? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying.
This should go back to our episode we had about when you're allowed to say, when you should be saying no. But
I was organized. I share a link right now, but
right. Sorry.
Yeah. That is where it definitely ties in, because let's say, as O'Grady described, you know, you're this mythical person who works a lot. They do all the things, you know. If it's something that's even tangentially related to their job, they're going to be curious. They're going to have initiative. They're going to go learn the thing, whatever that is. And but then you hear about this idea of quiet quitting and doing what a lot of articles and people in the articles sometimes will say is the bare minimum. You do what your very initial job description is.
Yeah.
And that's all you're going to do. So now when your employer wants you to learn something that is tangentially connected to your current role, you say, I don't think so. That's not in my job description.
So I think that brings back up, though, that is management. I think, like Strenuous said, that this really is a management grab at least the naming and the terminology and what it is about. They're showing this as a negative thing, where
like Strenuous pointed out, boogeyman. Like, again, my big point was name calling, right?
Yeah, but like we talked, Anthony, I think it was off stream, but about the it just sometimes you have a lot going on in life and you scale back. I'm, for the most part, 90% of the time at work, I'm trying to hustle my hardest to learn more, to get my face out there more in the company, talk to network more. But when personal life, you know, baby coming along and house being reorganized and redecorated, and I scale back work back to, yeah, it's pretty good now. You can still see the nice bruise ring about it. It didn't fully break. No, I was scared. It got like double the size though. You know, when it like gets this big, and I'm like, oh no.
Oh my gosh.
Especially as a developer, the spacebar finger kind of gets used a lot. So
that's an important finger. That and bowling, I mean, you're just stunned.
I'm a right-handed bowler, we're good. Left-handed shooter, but it's not my trigger finger, we're good. But the yeah, whatever. No, what I was saying is that it really is a management grab. The naming, calling it quiet quitting. They're wanting this to really show the negative side of this happening. Like Strenio said, they're like, this is bad. You should never scale down your work to be the minimum. Well, you know what? I'm a real person. I have real life. Sometimes there's a week or there may be a week at a time where I'm like, I feel like I got nothing done. And sometimes I get like 2 things done because now that's what was required of me technically. But knowing myself, I know I could have done double that if I would have hustled harder. But if I would have, I also would have missed out on life opportunities outside of work to get things done as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's a kind of a different side of it, because I've also seen the quiet quitting come up with the people that do it while looking for another job. They scale back for months at a time, and they're just doing the minimum while they're looking for something new. I don't know if you guys have anything on that as well.
I mean, I can certainly see that behavior.
And we've all seen it, right? Like, we've all seen that happen. Or at least I've seen that happen, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I think on the more positive flip side, people in the articles I read, which I posted some in the chat, in the stream chat, some of them have talked about it being more about setting healthier boundaries. So it's not about, hey, I'm not going to do stuff for you anymore. It's about, I need to spend time with my kid because of X, whatever. Or I realized I'm missing out on whatever is happening in the family, or it could be extended family. And so put like that, it's the people are saying it's more positive thing about creating boundaries that are healthy or healthier for employees. And I do think it ties very closely into people who have hustled and they haven't gotten the reward that they expected. They didn't get the big raise, they didn't get the title change or the promotion or the internal recognition, and they're like, so then they question, why am I doing this? What is the point of all this work if no one's going to say my name in the company all hands and clap for me and say, yay, great employee?
Yep. And that's something we put offline as well, was the self-fulfilling prophecy type thing, where you say, I'm not going to work harder because it doesn't matter anyway, so I'll never get that promotion. Then you never get that promotion because you never worked harder to get it. So there's 2 sides to that.
Yeah, on that note, I feel like it's almost, the way you said that makes me feel like it's related to some other things that we all said before this magical term came up. You've heard dress for the job you want, or act for the behave for the job you want. If you want to work hard at that level to get there, and then, well, what if you're at the level? Why can't you just work at that level, right? Like, why is this bad? Another quote that I saw from I know I should know his name. Wow, I'm on the spot, so I'm drawing a blank. But I saw a quote from someone that says, or maybe it should be called quiet quitting. Maybe we should be just calling acting your wage.
Yeah.
Right? It's real cute.
Because I mean, there is the entire argument that, know your worth. And we say it all the time in IT. Know your worth, know what you should be doing and how much you should be getting paid to do it. Feel like you can have hard work without breaking the work-life balance. Yes. I feel like
I do want to talk about that, actually. But
yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. No, we can talk about that now, because I totally forgot what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry. I felt that, so I want to
You forget how
respond.
ADD my brain is, that if I switch topics, it's done. It's gone. The other one's just... But yeah, no, you can definitely have a hard work, or be a hard worker and do the hustle and still have that work-life balance. I did it for a long time. It's hopefully get you somewhere in the process. That's you should have a long-term outlook on why you're doing certain things, why you're working harder than your peers, or at least why you think you are. But you can still have a work-life balance that isn't toxic, or however you want to say that.
Yeah, I'm really loving the comments. So people are getting some good ideas about work-life balance and how can you.
Seen some new names in here too. Make sure you drop that follow and help us get to affiliate sometime here shortly.
Yeah, I really appreciate Ivan Drago 314 there and his comment.
Wonder where he lives.
I kind of agree that to some degree, if somebody like you described, that person, O'Grady, who quiet quits, who just does the bare minimum, however we want to describe it, they're just doing their job as it was originally outlined. If they're just doing that for months on end, I guess management isn't paying enough attention, or maybe they're okay with that, which I would find to be strange if management was okay with someone just doing the initial job description and nothing more.
Is that not part of this argument of management not being okay with them doing their job description? Now, I know, as we've discussed, like most of us are very forward-thinking people, so we try to think about the next move and the move in front of that, so we're always pushing a little harder. But if someone's at the job and they just want to do their job description, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. From a management side, right?
I mean,
you would want them to progress themselves.
Real quick, I want to acknowledge some of the chat that we have in Discord and in this chat room. Amen. I agree with you, O'Grady. But one of the things that's common theme is that there are toxic managers. What?
I said you better, and then I'm like, I actually don't care. So,
okay. There are people. There are toxic managers, right? So I agree that exists. But ideally, you're
talking happy path here, then.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just saying. I just want to acknowledge the fact that I'm getting that. There's some definite conversations happening in chat and in Discord where they're like, I've seen this, and this other bad thing.
Thanks for the
I've seen it as well. Awesome, thank you, sir. So yeah, I've seen that also. I just want to say that so we can go back to saying it shouldn't be like that. For example, here's a scenario for you guys. I'm stealing this from someone else I had a conversation with today. A construction worker gets up, has her coffee, drives to a construction site, builds the bridge or the wall or the building or whatever it is that doesn't fall on you, by the way, and clocks in at 7, clocks out at 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
Goes the heck home, watches the sports ball that they choose, or Game of Thrones show, or if they're really people of flavor to watch Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever's hot right now, I don't care. And is that bad? Right? We're talking about people doing their job minimum. You built a bridge and people didn't die a year later when it fell over. That's the bare minimum for someone who's building something, right? Like, is that bad?
No, and I think
I'd say not.
I think that's something we can discuss too, that our industry, the bare minimum expected is above the bare minimum, which is weird. Kind of like Lee was just saying, where a management shouldn't be happy with someone doing the bare minimum, when in reality, well, they should expect that the people they hire want to progress in their career, so they would expect them to do more than the bare minimum. But if they are, that's what they were hired for, so that should be respected as well. In my opinion, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. What do you guys think, chat? Do you think that you should be expected to work toward progression of your own career while doing a job? Or do you think that doing the minimum is considered okay or standard. And then let's see, we got a lot of people talking in chat here. So
we have a lot. Someone named Lee Markham, good name, okay,
loser.
says, yeah, I agree that good organizations are better run and have less fires as a result. There is a less need of more hustle.
Yeah.
Okay, true, but I'm gonna take your own words, Lee, and use them against you in good sport. I hope.
Cool.
Because this is actually a point I assumed you will make, or you will at some point in this anyway. The hustle sometimes is what we use to get farther in a career, right? So
Yeah.
there could still be opportunity for hustle in a well organized or
oh yeah.
How'd you word it? You worded well.
We're organized company.
Yeah, organized company. Okay. Yeah, it still exists.
Mhm.
It's just I think
Oh, you could be
I'm
sweeping
curious if you
floors,
guys-
and then you better sweep the floors 10 times better than the other person sweeping floors. That's always been my motto.
well,
I don't
you know
care what we're
or-
doing. I'm going to be trying to do it better than someone else that I'm working with.
Or as my dad would probably, hi dad, my dad would probably word it more, just take pride in what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
freaking 10 times faster or whatever, or I look cooler while I do it. I don't know, trying here. But like just take
Everybody
pride in what
looks
you're
cool
doing.
when they're in IT. Like paradigm shift,
Yeah.
we're the cool guys now.
Okay, I don't work where you work, but I don't think we all look that cool. We might think so, but
To the outside, because they just see,
Yeah.
agreed. So I agree with Liam. Like doing the minimum is acceptable, but doing more would be better for you and the company, right? And like it depends on your priorities. So here's my scenario. At a previous employer, I had a team and there's people on the team, and some of them were like, building new things and I say breaking things and doing all that. And there's people on the team who like, well, this one particular person would come into work. They were on time, but they do their job and they did it well and they left on time and they picked up the kids. They went home, made dinner, and they didn't care about work the rest of the time. They came in the next day. I would consider them a good employee. I would hire them in a moment if there was an opportunity for them near me. I would vouch for them, right? Like they were a good employee. I never once thought, well, this person really should work on moving their way up. And then I'm going to take the other side of the coin. The another individual there, and they'll both these women in case that's important. But I think it is for stereotype purposes. Because the last one was a mom picking up kids, soccer practice, all that. This next woman was a VP when I started and a director when I left at this place. So like, does that make one of them a better employee than the other? I don't know. I wasn't the director's boss. But the point is that like different people going to work for different reasons. Some of us are going to work because we live in this society and we have to have a job, right? Some of us are going to
I
work
like
because
my things.
or somebody wants to have a bar in the basement with glowy lights in the office and a cool cat condo, right? Or a whole crap load of games that they can play with their kids, or whatever it is that you go to work for. And I don't think it's fair. Your stack of books there. That's not
Lee
cheap.
goes to work because he likes to go to work, but that's.
I mean, I like my job too.
I do. I do
That's what I
enjoy
was
going.
pointing out.
Yeah.
So I just don't think it's okay. Oh man, I'm missing stuff in chat because I'm rambling.
Yeah, I was saying.
I don't think, just to close up what I was trying to say, I don't think it's right or fair for people. I'm looking at you, New York Times. But look at the bad mouth people for having different priorities at work. Because none of our scenarios are the people, and we've worked with these people that are like they're done with their job, and so they're basically not doing anything, and they're doing a different kind of bare minimum. They're doing enough that it's hard to fire them, but they're not helping their teammates. Well, we got Stringer's Fool in there, and Novus and Ivan Drago pulling this person's weight, and this person's and everyone's like this person.
But are they pulling their weight because it's an expected weight to be pulled, or is because everyone else is doing more than they should? They're not really pulling weight. If everybody's doing their job description, technically they're all doing more, so they're just creating weight to be pulled.
And my scenario, the one I just said, which I don't think is a quad quitter, for to be clear. In my scenario, it's one person is holding the team back and everyone's making up for it. And that's not a quad quitter. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, so that's just the bad employee.
I want to name that person. Yeah. Yeah, and you've all had them, and
Yeah.
sometimes you like them, but you're like, this person's making my job harder, right? And I was just pointing out that person exists. We've all
Oh, yeah.
dealt with them, but that's not what we're talking about.
No.
The quiet quitter. The quiet quitter is someone who's just doing the job, and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
it's a bad name. It's name calling, and if you do your 9 to 5 and you do it well, and you go home, you're not a bad person. You deserve a name that sounds like you're quitting.
So I want to say something to Novus's comment there about the. I was going to correct you because I'm like, your second equation is wrong, but you got me before I said it. But um, they're saying pretty much that if you're doing x squared, whatever, x plus 1 of a certain job, that your compensation should be reflected. And if it's not, then there's no incentive to continue performing beyond your job description. But I will counter with that, because we all know people that have worked job description job, and that's fine. I've worked with people that do that, and they did a great job at what they did. They didn't feel any extra incentive to continue on progressing in their career, because the compensation wasn't there. I can also tell you I now make probably 30% more than them in 2 years. So, not saying that compensation is the end all be all, but saying that there's no incentive to work harder is robbing yourself of the incentive to find another job that you hustled for. It's not necessarily the company that you're at that's going to be giving you incentive. I'm setting up, like we talked earlier, I'm setting up the step after the next step. Yeah. If you're not doing that, you're robbing yourself of income, of happiness, of anything that you want. Have a plan. And then at that point, if you're not getting the rewards that you're expecting, you may not be putting in the hustle you think you are. And I think that's something we need to talk about too. That some people really think that they're working harder than other employees. But a lot of times, and especially in the IT world, it's not always visually shown what we do. Yeah, it's not as obvious, the background stuff that happens, where everybody might be putting in what you feel is a hustle, but that may just be the job description.
Yeah. So, Strenuous asked the question. It's okay if I ask it to you guys?
Yeah. No.
No. Sorry, Strenuous.
I'll let it go.
Fine.
For Strenuous.
For you. Here's the question. It's literally typed. One of you is a manager with 2 contract IT workers. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if being contract is important, but 2 contract IT workers. Mm-hmm. Both do their job, but one of them is a hustler. So, okay, I'm hearing one
hustle
does
in
the
a
job,
good way.
The other one,
yes,
yeah, hustle, baby. The other one is doing above and beyond and killing it, right?
Yeah.
Both do the job, but one is a hustler. Do you not bring the other person on full time because they're quiet quitting? What happens if you don't bring on the hustler? Great job, hustler, but we're not bringing you on yet. So that's actually more than one question. All right, do you not bring in the quiet quitter? In other words, the
person doing their job description, just basic job description.
The complacent, competent worker.
Oh, so I'll tell you,
competent consultant.
In that situation, if you have 2 consultants and they're competing for a secondary bid or something else that may be happening in the future, well, if you're not doing above, that's on you for losing a job.
But he didn't actually ask. He didn't actually say they're. I mean, it's valid, but he didn't actually.
I mean, it sounds like they're only hiring one out of those 2. Is what I'm just getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm on the. Yeah. So go ahead, Lee. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like what O'Grady was saying. If I have one spot and I have 2 people competing for it, and one is really getting after it, and their productivity is much higher than the other, I'm probably giving the job to the hustle person, the person who's really getting after it and getting stuff done. Does that mean that the person who was doing the job description is wrong or bad or
not at all?
Doesn't deserve a job? No. But the reality is you're up against, in this scenario, a person who was doing more work than you.
So if you write a bad resume and you don't get a job because someone else had a good resume, and you had the same skill sets, but you didn't list half of them, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you need to take that as a learning opportunity and say, well, they got the job over me. What'd they do different? Oh, they did X plus X.
Ivan Drago 314. No. I'm working with a field engineer who's a gritty technical resource. He's a terrible team member, uber productive, but everyone hates working with him. Do you still hire the hustler based on raw productivity?
No.
Dibs.
Fine.
Go.
They did. No one said anything about them being a complete jerk. Always get rid of the toxic person. I will take.
I'll hire a freshie. Yeah.
I would rather have 112% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather have a non-toxic person who's a complacent, competent contractor. But if they're a good worker, good. What you want to call them quiet quitters because you like buzzwords, fine. But they do their job and they're not toxic. I'd rather have them.
Yeah, for sure.
That jerk in a hoodie. Oh no, I like hoodies. But some jerk who's a hot shot. Yeah.
It's like, I'm in a basement now, man. I was wearing a hoodie. Yeah. No, I agree with that as well. I think company culture or just work culture in general, it is far more of a weight for me to in a hiring process than it would be for job competency if they're jerks. Like, no. If you can't have human decency, if you can't communicate with people without making them feel dumb, superiority complex we see a lot in IT sometimes, and not getting a job.
When I was talking about through the scenario that someone, I think it was Novus, was asking about, I was thinking all other things equal, the only difference is the productivity or the hustle between those things.
Yeah.
But certainly, we've talked about before about how to be a good employee and those kinds of things, or and that's important. You can't be you can be a jerk at work, but we hope you're not going to be. And most managers, I feel like, are not going to embrace, or what's the word I'm looking for? They would rather support the person with less experience but a good demeanor. How about that? Now,
a good manager, like we said, we've discussed good versus bad managers, but yes, good manager would be looking at how they're going to fit with the rest of the team as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I
Lee's trying not to dig himself a hole while putting his foot in his mouth, but
no, I had a thought and I wasn't sure where to go with it, and then it left me. So I'll defer back to you guys.
That's fair.
So yeah.
Let's see. Anything else going in?
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm missing stuff in chat, which is awesome. I love it, guys. Keep bringing it.
Yeah, no, thanks. Again, thanks all the chatters showing up, and lurkers, thanks for lurking and hanging out. We this is our thing every Thursday, so make sure you come back while we discuss this. Let's see. Don said that's why companies hire contractors. I mean,
so for the record, not everybody is hiring contractors for evil purposes, right? Sometimes
sometimes they're chaotic neutral.
I honestly, at my company, we've gone through a lot of contractors, and we honestly wanted them on board.
Yeah.
Right. At least that's how I felt. I may not be up the higher echelon or whatever in the dark Illuminati room, but that's the vibe I'm getting from this chat. But no, honestly, if they're good workers, you want them to come and join the team. I mean, technically, the two most recent people that I hired, two. Sorry, my math's bad. Two of the most recent people I hired were technically contractors first, right?
So
I didn't.
Can we talk about this too? Speaking of contractor,
okay.
I think, or at least I've been looking at this as a salary employee. Now, this as a buzzword, as a new topic in the world, is probably spanning both hourly and salary. Do you think there's a difference that maybe we're overlooking on the hourly side that would make this more of a buzzworthy topic of a more impactful, I guess, to the
For
hourly
someone
worker.
who's working, for the hourly worker.
Because, I mean, to
I
me,
think so.
salary does kind of imply, like, I don't have hours. So they're like, you have X amount of work to get done, not X amount of hours to work.
Pay per job versus pay per hour. Like, let's talk about literal contractors. Somebody's coming in to put a roof up or something, or a ceiling is what I meant, in your basement, right?
Yeah.
Are you paying them per hour or per job? And there's both options. Do we complain that we paid this person for a job and they got done in half the time? To like, everything came in on time. I had no problems. I found 0 mistakes when I checked my work, so I'm good to go in half the time. Are we upset? That sounds like a quiet quitter to me. No,
Yeah, right.
I don't think so. I don't know.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, are people upset that they're sitting here doing the basics for hours, but they're not? I don't know. I was curious if anybody, maybe chat, you can jump in on that as well. If there's a difference between the outlook on this hourly versus salary.
And yeah, I mean, and everyone has probably slightly different viewpoints on the whole hourly or salary thing. I've definitely heard the negative ones. I've worked in enough different jobs that I've definitely worked around the people who are like milking the clock.
Yeah.
So when the hourly, they're like, oh, let's drag this out. But
yeah, I guess like Strenuous just said,
false
salary
contact.
can be overtime eligible. Was that if you're non-exempt? I forgot which one it is. But
It's true.
yeah, and actually I did get overtime once at the company we all worked at. It was before I went to IT, but I was still a salaried employee and I got overtime. But yeah, I guess that could be considered like, yeah, that. But at what point are you approaching time theft? Because I'm sure all
salaries.
No, whenever they're saying like if you're getting overtime pay, but then you're looking at it as quiet quitting, but yet you're doing overtime. To me, those don't really.
No, if someone's doing
up.
overtime, they're not a quiet quitter, right? The definitions.
Or are you doing the minimal on overtime as well? I think there's a lot of different levels here that you can, if you wanted to break it down, could probably poke a lot of holes in this. But
I wonder what I'm wondering what Liam's saying. So there's a lot of differences. For example, holidays. I wonder, Liam, are you still talking about being a contractor? Like, if you're a contractor, you get holiday pay. Yeah, but I think, at least I thought, tell me if I'm wrong, guys, when we were talking about hourly, we meant full employees. Like, I've been an hourly employee for a lot of companies, and I would still get holiday pay. I would still get overtime.
Yeah.
In fact, I worked for UPS for a long while. I know I said a while. Like, I worked there for 12 years, and they paid time and a half after 5 hours. So I was hourly, but I definitely got overtime. I definitely got holiday pay. So, Liam, if you want to clarify, like, do you mean contractor maybe, or why are you saying holidays?
I was saying Novus. I get what you're saying there about doing the bare minimum to not get fired, and then I guess this kind of goes into the same where we talked earlier about then everybody else has to kind of pick up the slack.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're doing the bare minimum to not get fired, why is there slack to be picked up? Is it not enough employees? Is it, there's a reason that if everybody was doing their job description, and I'm playing both sides of this the whole time, obviously, because I don't know, I see both sides of it, but
it's more fun.
Yeah, it's more fun. Always play the devil's advocate and the devil. But if you have people doing the bare minimum to not get fired, everybody doing that, there should be no slack, or else you're being overworked by your company technically. Now, am I saying you're being overworked by your company? No, because I'm a hustler, so I can't say that I'm the guy that's ever going to be doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
But do you guys see what I'm saying there? Where
I do.
If it's expected that there is slack because someone's doing their job, the company's wrong.
Yeah,
they need
I
to
think
hire
this
someone
is
else.
yeah, I think this is part of what I was trying to communicate, and maybe not well enough, or maybe the person just disagreed, and that's perfectly fine. In Discord last night, if if um, if an entire department is working 50 hours a week,
Okay.
then what they're really doing is hiding the real workload.
Yeah.
Because ideally, they should work 40 hours or close to it. Sometimes you're going to have to occasionally work extra. People might argue with me about that, but it depends on your role. But we're talking about where we're at in our jobs, and particularly in IT. It's not always a 40-hour work week.
Ponytail up soon.
But if the entire company or the entire department everybody's working 50 hours, then that's 10 hours extra per person for however many days or weeks we're talking about. When you do the math, you're hiding an extra 2 or 3 hires by working that. And so I've seen when I was working in a call center environment, I've seen managers who were trying to make a point to people above them. Say things like, don't worry about how long it takes you to take care of this customer. Take care of the customer, because that's what we're here to do.
Yep.
And then they would watch, we had clocks on the wall, and it would tell us how many calls were waiting and how long the longest call had been waiting. And that clock would go up, 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 up. And they were just trying to make the point to the people above them. Look, if we really take care of our customers and our people do what you in the marketing material
are technically expecting them to,
then we need more people, because there are 10 calls in queue and the oldest one has been sitting there for 20 minutes waiting to get help.
Yeah. No, it's 100%. That's you're hiding that.
And by the way, half the department's here on overtime, and we still have 10 calls in queue.
So they end up paying way more than it would cost to get someone else in there anyway.
Yeah.
No, and that's Strenuous brought that up about, either the pay is not competitive enough if they can't get someone else in, or their environment might be a toxic and have a reputation. That's an issue too.
That's why we got the subject of like one person bringing down the team earlier, and then it was mentioned in chat, and definitely manufacturing or hourly jobs. You've seen the people who are doing less than what they should be doing, and everyone has picked up slack, or it messes up numbers and metrics. For the record, as far as I understand the term quiet quitting, those aren't quiet quitters. Like, I think that's one of the reasons why I was like stressing the definition in the beginning is like, we all agree quiet quitters are people who may have been hustling in the past, but like, I'm clocking in, I'm doing my work, they're still doing a good job. That's why I want to clarify that. They're still doing a good job. They're just not doing the hustle lifestyle anymore. And I think that's okay. That's not the people we're talking about when we say they're bringing down the team.
I think it is. No, I think it is. If you have a team member who used to close out 150 tickets a week, which was twice as much as every other team member, and they weren't getting recognition for it, and they weren't getting any kind of promotions they were promised or raises they were promised, and they're the hustle on the team, and they go down to be, okay, well, I'm doing 100 tickets a week. I'm going to go back down to doing 50 tickets a week like everyone else on the team. Yeah, the team has to then pick up the slack because there's an extra 50 tickets out there. Now, it's not my job or the person's job to do the tickets. Everybody should be doing 75 tickets. They're only doing 50 because you've been doing 100.
First of all, tickets should be a metric, but you know that.
Do you want to get into that of how much I know that?
I know.
But they are
getting fired up.
Right. But they are a metric.
Yes, it's good for the
many companies they are a metric.
No,
you replace ticket with X cards from your backlog or whatever.
Answering calls, time to completion. credit cards sold. Yeah, no, 100%.
So that's where that
Yeah.
term is coming into play. And the only time the other rest of the team is affected is if they weren't the hustlers.
Yeah.
Is when the hustler stops and they go back down to regular team member, everyone else feels it and they feel like they're picking up the slack when in reality
my
they're
gosh.
starting to do their own job again. I don't want to get
Here's
too
the
fired up,
thing.
but
Here's another here's another side of this that I just thought about. I have worked in places. I had a whole team of people once
Mhm.
who were super angry and had me in the office every weekend. This was a call center situation, complaining and griping about one particular employee who was just embarrassing the
KPI.
crap out of them because that employee was doing way more work than anybody else on the team. And they were all suspicious and they were like, what is this person doing?
Mhm.
You need to be looking at them. How can they possibly be doing that much work? Blah, blah, blah. So I've also seen it the other way. And I'm like, why don't you just pay attention to your own job and not worry about what someone else is doing and trust that management is going to take care of that? If the
Yep.
person who's doing way more than you is also screwing up way more than you, then you have to, hopefully you will trust the management to deal with that. And if you can't, then maybe you go to another team or you go to another company.
Yep.
So anyway, I mean, we're that story just came to mind because I lived that and almost left that job actually because of the constant drama of people complaining about the overachiever. And I was like, how about you just pay attention to yourself?
Yeah, if you're complaining about the person that's hustling harder because it makes you look bad, don't get mad at someone else progressing their own life. Like that's
Yeah.
I got to where I am by working hard. I mean, you guys know I don't know if I'm assuming you guys knew I used to be homeless when I was a child. So I came from literally nothing. And all I did was I worked harder than everyone around me. And then if I get called out for being a hustler, you know what? I don't care. That does not bother me. If the worst thing someone says about me is, "Man, you work too hard." Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll take that.
I'll look for your application in the future when I'm looking for hiring. But
Yeah.
it's I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the term quiet quitter. I'm with Anthony on this that it's a negative connotation on the way that employees have an ebb and flow of it's hustle time, it's pullback time, it's
Yeah,
your work life balance. But
for sure.
there should be nothing wrong with an employee pulling back to doing their basic job description. But I will say that if you have a work life balance issue and you need to pull back, talk to your management about it. If you don't trust your management to talk to them about it, then don't work
There's
there.
your sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you need to find someone you can trust. If you want to work at a
Yeah.
place to feel rewarded, to feel like it's actually a career. I'm not saying if you just have a job that,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah, I
if
kinda
it's a
wanted
standby
to-
job, but
I did want to. Hopefully, you guys put in time. If you're not, let me know. I did want to talk
I'm
about
going
that,
to.
like management's responsibility in this whole game, because I have some opinions. Like we even, in chat they talked about KPIs and how that's bad and everything, and like when you're managing a team, and I know some to manage 20, 30 people. I don't know if that's a good idea, depending on the role, but like you should understand what your team's doing, who's putting in too much, who's burning themselves out, and keep an eye on that. It's
Yeah.
not easy to do, especially in our industry, because sometimes, like I know I've said this before to the different people I work with, like, yeah, it hits 4 o'clock and it's time for you to go, and you just want to chew on this ground for 21 minutes. That's your prerogative, because a big percentage of the people that work in our industry are problem solvers, they're engineers or whatever, and they want to tune the problem and get it done. If you're salary and no one cares, your boss doesn't care, that's fine. But at the same
Yep.
token, I recognize the fact that just because somebody stays late to knock things out sometimes. Sometimes I just want to go home at 4, and that's okay. And if stuff's going on in your life, you should come and talk to your manager and say, hey,
Yeah.
there's some serious, you don't have to be specific. There's some serious stuff going on, and I need to make sure I'm out on time. And then if you're having that serious conversation, then your manager and your team, again, doesn't have to be specific, can get around that and make sure that, okay, you're taken care of. Okay, you leave at 5, at 4 o'clock, you should handle this big thing because you need to bail because
See you later, Strenuous. Right? Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for dropping by, Strenuous. And actually, to answer Strenuous' question there, yeah, and I am speaking from a tech side of, luckily for us, IT jobs are in high demand. They will always be in high demand because it's technology. It's not going anywhere. For other fields, this may be not as easy to say, find a new job. That being said, I didn't always work in IT. This is my second IT job, technically, as a developer. Part of that hustle is getting yourself out there, getting into a job that, like we're saying, not the next step, but the step after that. Thinking about, if I go here, it might not be an IT job. It might not be anything related to a job that's in my field, but I can work towards something that is in demand, that is worth, me working there, and brings home a good paycheck. Like, it's about making those plans, not just working the daily. For me, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clean attack. What was the last part? It was so Lee that you just answered to.
I can read it. This is somewhat on topic, but something this topic reminded me of is how much I detest when people cling to tasks where they are the only person in the company who knows how to do that particular thing. And they either refuse to train, tribal knowledge. They either refuse to train anyone else on how to do it, or they intentionally sabotage those training efforts. Yeah, so technically off subject, but also a bad workplace thing. Like, that's bad. Share the knowledge.
It's off subject, but we've also all worked with people who have done that, and it's a terrible form of job security, but it is job security. The problem is it's job security until it's not, because as soon as they find a way that they don't need you anymore, and that's the only, like, let's say there's a certain application that you're the only one that knows how it works, you wrote it, you're the only one that's maintained it. Well, as soon as they don't use that application anymore, you're gone. So it works somewhat for some people, but diversity is key when it comes to IT.
For sure. Yeah, but if you're a team player, though, that's it. I mean, it's you're sabotaging yourself. If you're not a team player, then when you are no longer the only one with the keys to this particular thing, application, start IT, whatever, then they're done. Yeah. If you're a team player the whole time, then people know that when that thing goes away, they're like, but we still want to keep Jimmy John.
Yeah, right? You turn into the only person that knows how to do it. You turn to now you're the subject matter expert instead of, well, we don't need him anymore. Well, now we can all do this, but so and so knows everything about it. Let's keep him around.
Yeah.
If, again, like Anthony said, if you're a team player, if you're someone that's not a jerk.
So team player, huh? So if you're a team player, O'Grady,
team player as in a valuable asset.
How come you're not giving me 50 hours a week like Anthony?
Because Anthony.
So the hourly thing again?
No, I don't consider that. I don't consider that being. No, I don't consider that being team player. Now, I do consider it.
You're not carrying your load because.
No, you're not carrying Anthony's load.
Everybody else on the team's working 50 plus hours. How come you're not doing it?
Yeah, and that is an argument that management would bring down. I would guarantee I would see that.
What you're saying. I had it backwards.
Yeah. Oh no, I can see that.
The other devil's advocate part here, where so.
Oh yeah, 100% I can see that. Or everybody's coming in on the weekend to work on this thing. Why aren't you? It's like, well,
yeah.
because I don't want to, or I have such and such plans. Sorry, but sometimes it's mandatory. And again, with the salary roll, I don't know how much we really have a say on that. We can discuss things and maybe move it to a different weekend if it really is something big, but
yeah, for
off
sure.
hour things, all our deployments are off hour deployments.
IT gets a little weird, but again, talk to your manager, right? You gotta talk to your manager. Like if there's gonna be a big deployment and it's on a important wedding, then hey, I'm not gonna be able to make it, right?
But then and then that's when I feel like a team player type role comes in. Let's say someone on my team's like, hey, I can't do the deployment this Thursday because I have a wedding to go to. The team player in me would say, hey, I'll cover that for you. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying, hey, I'm going to work 10 hours a week extra every week because everyone else is. I'm saying on a personal level, I know you got something going on. I got you. We're good. Just continue the flow. No problem.
For sure.
And that's, I feel like, important on a team to have that cohesion.
Absolutely. And if you wanted to look at it from the perspective of the complacent
contractor,
consultant, I don't know.
Complacent, competent contractor.
Yeah. Then
this could make me say that.
As the person who's going to take on that extra weekend work, maybe you go to your boss and you say, "Hey, boss, Anthony's supposed to do the deployment on Saturday. It's going to take 6 hours, but he can't do it. I agreed to take those hours. Can I have half a Friday off?"
Yep.
To do that trade. And, depending upon the work culture, you'll get a, yeah, sure, absolutely. Or, no, we really need you here all day Friday too. And then you counter with, well, can I have part of Monday off? And they're like, no, we really need you here on Monday. Then you might be looking at a place that you have to make a decision. Is this a place I want to be at? If so, great. If you want to be that complacent consultant, I'm not going to get all three. Maybe you look at that and go, I don't see a long-term future here because I'm being pressured constantly to work over. And there's no incentive for me to be a team player because I'm going to take it on the nose when I do try to help someone else.
Yeah. And that's usually, again, going back to let's say the deployment thing. If I say, hey, I'm going to take your deployment this Thursday, most of the time it comes back with, okay, cool, I'll swap you on your next one. All right, cool. I get a free Thursday night now that I didn't think I'd have.
I was just talking healthy team dynamics.
Well, yeah, that's how I feel like being team player. That's what's important is just healthy team dynamics, not we're all working extra hours to make the company better. We're working with each other to make the team better. Now, in bigger impact, that's going to make the company better because we're going to be more efficient. We're going to be more trusting of each other that stuff gets done properly. And then, at that point, if you go into this quiet quitter, if you have a healthy team dynamic, when you see someone backing out and not doing their standard work, their own personal par that they have for themselves, not just in IT, I think anywhere, it gets noticed by other employees. It should get noticed by managers if they're good managers. At that point, you as another employee can talk to your teammates about it and say, hey, everything good? Like, I noticed you're kind of been scaling back. And, anything we need to talk about? Like, those are healthy conversations. It's nothing wrong with talking personal, and even that's more work related, but like, you can have healthy conversations with people at work about why you're scaling back, or if you don't feel appreciated properly, or whatever it is. So, maybe it's just, I guess the bad quiet quitter to me would be someone that scales back with no talking about it, no nothing. They went from full drive, that they had a career path that they want. All of a sudden they scale back to doing the minimum. That's not quiet quitting. That's management not noticing that they are not acknowledging something is wrong with one of their employees and needs to be talked to. Not in a negative way, but to bring whatever the problem is to light. If it's
you want to
pay,
have a
if it's whatever,
conversation with them.
Yeah, yo dog, what's up kind of thing.
Yeah. But I've seen that. I'm sure we've all had that, to where you have a bad week or something, and management's like, "Hey, you good? Like, you
Right?
kind of seem like you're a little off this week." And you're like, "Yeah, wife's having a baby." And they're like, "Oh, you're fine. Continue on."
Yeah, I had a bad hour once.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, things happen. I mean, I was thinking back to the call center situation. My dad was ill with cancer in another state, and it was understandably hard to concentrate. I did not mean to make that rhyme. And so I probably wasn't performing as well as I could have been, but um, I had a great boss back then, and yeah,
I mean,
I can't.
yeah.
Yeah,
I can tell you right now, my performance from before I found out I was having a baby to now is lower, and not lower to where it would be.
You're only at 150% a normal person now. That's the usual 250, right?
Yeah, it's lower. It's not. I'm doing the bare minimum, but I scaled back because there's a lot to get. There's a lot to focus on outside of that, and even during work, my brain's focusing on, okay, well, I need to get this done for the baby. I need to do this. I need to change the health insurance, all this stuff,
and just the general excitement,
and just not even be able to concentrate because I'm like, I got a baby boy on the way.
Yeah,
another one. So stuff like that. It's so Anthony's probably never been able to concentrate in his entire career since he's always.
Explains so much, actually. If you think about it, explains so much.
It's like I've been doing IT for 11. Let's see.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Is there any other bullet points we want to make sure we get before we find someone to raid or?
Let's chat. You have anything to bring up closing wise? Any questions or final thoughts you want to get out while I'll find someone to raid. If you guys want to do some closing talks here.
Yeah, I think we mostly agree. It's okay for people to do their job, and us, especially America, we think that everybody should be hustling. That's not always true, right? Like, people should be allowed to do their jobs and do it well. I think we also agree that the people who aren't doing the job and they've like quit, but they're like not actually quitting, they're just not doing anything anymore or doing the bare minimum and to not get fired, but they're not pulling the weight. I don't think that's what quiet quitting is talking about. I think this new term that's been made up, that's what people do. It's just people who've decided they're not hustling anymore. They're just going to do their job and go home. And that's not necessarily evil, even though New York Times wants me to think it is.
Yeah.
I think as a closing point for that, I agree that doing your job description should not be looked down on. Like you said, construction worker goes in, builds a bridge that doesn't kill people, and it is a solid bridge and it lasts for 50 years. You did a great job. That's your job description. You did it perfect. Now, did you also build a side pergola for it and a park bench? No. Would that have been cool? Yeah. But you did your job description. You did it good. It's up to specs. That should not be looked down on ever. And as you cross industries, I don't think there should be any kind of separation there. That if you're doing your job, that's good. If you're doing more than your job, you should be compensated, or it should be worth it to you in some way, whether it's an experience for yourself, progression, whatever you want to call it. We all have different things that are worth doing things for. But the quiet quitting thing, I think I'm on the same page as Anthony here, where it's fine. Just don't expect career progression, and don't get mad when you see someone who is working hard getting promoted, and don't say that's unfair, because that's the other thing I've seen is it's unfair that the people that work too hard get promoted. I'm like, it's kind of what the point of it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we got a couple options here. We can go back to the Average Guy TV. Yeah, pull that up real fast. And again, thanks for all the interaction today. It's been really good being able to talk to chat and have some full interaction. And I like that we had to actually catch up with chat. That's nice. Like, hold on, you guys are talking too much.
Yeah.
And
I plugged a few things in chat, including Discord. Those of you who haven't yet joined us in Discord, this topic tonight was because Discord was chatting up about this topic, and we decided to not talk about what we planned on talking about. We'll talk about this instead. So join Discord, talk with us. If we find something like the latest hack or new fake buzzword that gets made up, you want me to rant about 10x developers, then talk to us in Discord. Get us excited, and we'll talk about it. All right.
All right, and we're actually gonna send everybody over to Major Linux. Yeah, the Average Guys, they're doing I guess they're doing mostly YouTube right now, so they're not as interactive on Twitch. I don't know, I've talked to them, but
okay. Major Linux is cool too.
Yeah, so they're playing. Looks like they're playing some Deep Rock Galactic. I haven't seen it, so I'm gonna probably check that out too. But yeah, so make sure you drop that follow for us. And again, thanks for all the people stop by. Thanks for the lurkers. And yeah, hopefully here in a couple weeks we will. We'll discuss shortly as well that we're going to do a long stream here soon. We have it in the plans that we're gonna do a possibly 12-hour stream and break it up to where it's not always all three of us, but we'll discuss that in Discord. So if you guys make sure you drop by there and hang out with us.
Hey, maybe there'll be opportunities for you guys to join the call. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. All right. We'll see y'all next week.
See ya.
Bye.